Hi, everybody. It's Elektra Yao, artist visa lawyer. I'm located in New York City. As I told you, I'm going to be going live every day for the next 12 days, just in anticipation of the election. I want to give you guys some information, some tidbits, some trends, some information about what's actually going on with O1s and what you can do to actually improve your professional profile. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is Elektra Yao. I am the artist visa lawyer. I represent international artists. I'm located in Manhattan, in New York City, the heart of the arts world. I'm a former artist myself, and I represent almost exclusively artists. So I know that I'm a little bit late. I know that yesterday I said that I would be showing you a couple of petitions, but I had a bunch of portfolio reviews today, and we filed like 5 cases. Tomorrow we're filing a bunch of cases as well. So I didn't have time today. So I'm here now, and I wanted to kind of make this very simple and kind of give you my tips on O-1 do's and don'ts. So things that I don't think are good for the O-1 and things that I think that you can actually do to improve your professional profile. Now, of course, this is going to vary depending on, sorry about that, on Instagram. I'm on Facebook if you want to hop on Facebook to watch me. Um, so there's certain things that I have seen in my 10 plus years of representing artists that I want to give you information in this video to kind of just like avoid, right? There are certain things that you can do to improve your professional profile. And there are other things that if you do, you might be wasting your time. And other things that if you did do them, it would be a total waste of your money and your resources and your time and your efforts. So let's start with the do's, right? What are things that I think that you should be doing? So for those of you who are like in F1 or on OPT or living in the US, going to school, the number one thing that you can do is to get information. And when I mean get information, I don't necessarily mean just, for example, going to your international students office or something like that. I mean actually doubling down and having a consultation. One of the benefits I think that our firm provides is the fact that we provide you with a framework. So if you come to me, which very often happens, you'll come to me maybe like one month after your OPT starts. I can give you a framework of when you need to come back to me to start your O1 petition. I can tell you what you need to do between now and when you come back to me to improve your professional profile. So, the number one thing you should do is get information. Now, of course, you want to get information from the right sources. It's not just about reading online because a lot of the times it can kind of scare you what USCIS is seeing, writing. So, what you want to do is you definitely want to get a consultation. You definitely want to start early with your O1 visa petition. So, that's my first do. My second do is work, right? You need to provide the attorney that's going to be representing you with as much work as possible to be able to develop the legal arguments associated with your case. So, if there's no work that you've done, which basically means you've got no professional experience or no artistic experience, it's going to be very difficult to craft a strong case, which is why when you're at the beginning of your career, or most importantly, you're on the beginning of your O1 journey, you should be doing as much work as possible. Now, for O1 purposes, it's inconsequential whether you've earned income or not. So whether you're doing a change of status from F1 to O1, from B2 to O1, there's no actual requirement that you have earned income. So if you are getting opportunities to do things for free or for low cost, there's no reason why you should be refusing them, right? Especially because, again, this is the beginning of your O1 journey, and the basis, the foundation of your petition are these artistic achievements that are supported by the legal arguments. I cannot prove that you are extraordinary or that you served in a leadership role if there's no role that you have served in or there's no role that you have performed in, which is why I strongly urge you, especially if you're on F1, OPT to O1, to work as much as possible. Do not self screen, do not self select. Really do as much work as possible and then bring that data to the attorney that's going to be representing you. So work as much as possible. My third do is network. You are going to need letters of recommendation from experts within your field for O-1 purposes, right? You probably need letters of recommendation for other purposes, like maybe grad school or maybe some sort of fellowship that you're applying to or residency or whatever it is. But for O-1 purposes, we actually need letters of recommendation. Now, I want to be clear, these letters of recommendation are not like, oh, Elektra is so nice to work with. I'm going to work with her again. No, these letters are founded and rooted on your artistic achievements. There's an analysis that goes into these letters of recommendation. And these are legal documents that need to be endorsed with a letterhead and a logo and then signed by the signer. So there needs to be a signature attached to the letter. So if there are no experts, then you have not met the legal standard. So an expert is somebody that has a recognized track record, preferably online. Although there's no legal requirement for that person to have some sort of strong track record online, I can guarantee you that they will Google you. They Google you, they Google me, they Google your signers, they Google your jobs. They use all their tools at their disposition to be able to investigate you. Unfortunately, sometimes to the detriment of actually looking at the evidence. So you want to make sure that you're networking with the right people, that you're getting the support from the right people. And by right people, I mean experts within the field, verifiable experts with a track record. Now, what makes somebody an expert? Again, experience does not necessarily equal expertise. It can, but not always. Sometimes you're a recognized expert because you have lots of press. Maybe you've won awards. Maybe you've participated in competitions. Maybe you've done a lot of judging and been on panels and things like that. There's a lot of analysis that goes into selecting the signer for your petition. So you want to network so that you have a good pool of people that you can reach out to so that you can eventually file your petition. So, Advi, thanks for your question. Can professors provide recommendations? So I'll give you two answers. I'll give you the legal answer and I'll give you the practical answer, or the theoretical answer and then the practical answer. So the legal answer is sure, right? You can get a professor because most likely the professor has some sort of achievements that have allowed him or her to become a professor. That's great. But in practice, so in real life, like when you're filing the petition, if you are my client, I would not advise you to select a professor unless that professor has a track record of success. So has a demonstrated track record outside of academia. Academia is a great world, but for in all intents and purposes in the O-1 world, it is not the professional world, right? So if your professor has a career outside of school, great. I would say let's use that person. But if that person is a career academic and really does not veer off campus and just does the academic life and career, then that probably would not be a strong person for your petition, right? Again, there's no law that says that it can't be a professor, but I don't think that it is the strongest strategy for the petition. So those are my like three do's. Get information, right? Basically, get consultations, talk to people, take what your friends say with a grain of salt. There's nothing worse than an attorney hearing, but my friend did this, that my friend did that. There's no way that I can give you a justification of what happened to your friend because I do not know the petition, right? I don't know the case. I didn't argue the case. So I can't say, oh, what your friend did worked, so let's do that. That you don't want a lawyer who does that. You want a lawyer that provides an analysis and a game plan and a framework. So get information, read, talk to attorneys if you can, talk to student affairs or international students affairs office and get data. Number two, work. You want to develop as many artistic achievements because you need the attorney to have something to argue. And number three, network. You need letters of recommendations for your petition. So make sure that you're networking with the right players within your field that have some sort of track record of demonstrated success. So those are my three do's. My three don'ts. Hi, thank you so much for joining our live. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that you're working on your petition right now. So what are my three don'ts? Now, my three don'ts, this is my experience. This is my perspective as an attorney representing artists. So again, this is what I believe and what I think. So number one, don't waste time preparing the documents on your own. So you do not want to go and create a portfolio on your own. Not that you're not going to do a great job. It's just that the word portfolio means different things to different people. So if you're a visual artist, you're going to want to keep your portfolio, short and sweet in the real world. You want to keep it succinct because you really want to demonstrate your top work. A portfolio maybe for an actor might mean an extensive headshot and resume. In our world, or in my world, for O1s, portfolio means evidence, and it is extensive with a very strong focus on process. So process basically is the nitty gritty, the meat, the hard work that you did. I love final product pictures, but that is not the only thing that is going to get you approved, because everybody has beautiful pictures. I want to be clear that our focus with the portfolio is very intentional. We have 2 portfolio reviews to ensure that the portfolio is curated properly, so that it is telling the narrative that we want to that we want to create for the officer. Petitions are persuasive by nature, so we want to really persuade the officer to look at the proper facts. And what better way to create a persuasive petition other than presenting what is your unique process? So you need to not focus on crafting the portfolio, because I guarantee you, at least if you're working with our firm, it's not going to be something that we will use. And I'll give you an example. Um, Client had a couple consultations with us, went to another attorney. That's perfectly fine. Got a terrible result with the other attorney. I looked at the case. I'm not criticizing the other attorney. I'm just saying that it wasn't the style that we would have presented the petition. Came to us, did the petition, and did the portfolio the way we do it with all of our clients. We give you O-1 visa guidelines. And again, we have 2 portfolio reviews. This client was approved in 2 days. No RFE. Again, it's not about just putting in beautiful final product pictures. Everybody has beautiful pictures. It's about the process and the nitty gritty. So don't do it on your own. Wait for professional guidance so that you can use your time wisely. And this is going to bring me to my next don't. Don't go to an unlicensed professional. Do not go to these companies that are popping up. I literally just had a consultation with somebody who had her petition prepared by a non-attorney. Unfortunately, there was nothing that I could do to help her. I cannot change what's already on the record. I cannot change what already has been submitted. So this case was prepared by non-attorneys. You need to go to a licensed attorney, somebody who has experience with O-1. So not every immigration attorney is going to understand the O-1. They're not going to understand the nuances. They're not going to understand the specificity that is needed in the letters of recommendation. And oftentimes, because they do not understand the O-1, they will shoulder a lot of the legal work on you. And this includes, for example, writing the letters of recommendation. Many attorneys not familiar with O-1s will, for example, have you draft the letter, which is, for me, nonsensical, because that is a legal document. Oh yeah, I'm glad that you're finding this helpful. Do they look at the timeline of projects? So yeah, absolutely, they look at the timeline of projects. So if you're, for example, somebody who worked 5 years ago and then you kind of like stopped, that might raise a question. There might be like a great reason, a personal reason, whatever it is. But yes, we need to prove your distinguished nature within time. So yeah, they're definitely looking at the timeline. So, like I said, don't go to an unlicensed professional. Don't go to these companies, because I guarantee you, you're going to spend your money twofold, because you're going to not get a positive result, just like that client did. She went to a different attorney, not familiar with O-1s, paid those legal fees, and had to pay our legal fees in addition to our rush fees, because we filed that case in 2 weeks. So again, you want to really prep yourself for success. So don't go to somebody who is not an attorney, and don't go to somebody who is not experienced with O-1s. My next and my last don't is, don't wait till the last minute. Now, you might say, but Elektra, you have rush cases. You offer a rush service. Yes, absolutely, because many of my clients wait until the last minute, right? A lot of times people will come to us and it's maybe like 1 month before OPT expires. you're going to have to be a rush case, which basically in our firm means that you're brought to the top of the queue. So our standard contract is a 3-month contract. And I can do another video on why I do not believe in 6 months working on an O-1. It's inefficient, and we don't do, in our firm at least, we don't do that. Most of our clients are 1-month cases or 2-month cases. But don't wait till the last minute, because not because you're not going to have a successful case, but because you won't be able to play with the legal and artistic advice that I'm giving you. And this basically means strategy. So, because I've been doing it for a long time and I represent almost exclusively artists, there are so many different artistic achievements that I can advise you to secure, to include your professional, to include your artistic in your artistic petition. Right. So, a lot of the times, like what I think is fun about working with somebody with experience is a lot of the times you might not know what is something that is important for your petition. What does that basically mean? Like a lot of my clients, for example, sometimes they'll be like, oh, I'm focused on my art. And that's great. You should be focused on your art. That is why you need to hire a great business team and a great lawyer, so that the lawyer and the business team can be like, hey, you need to do X, you need to do Y, you need to do Z. And the reason for doing all these things is because it's going to produce this result. So you need that guidance, right? And that's why waiting till the last minute means that you might not be able to execute things that I think are important and interesting for your career, just for the sheer fact of the matter that you just don't have time. So there are lots of things that you can do independent of the actual creation of the artistry, the actual execution of your work. There's so many like art adjacent activities that you can do that support the O-1, and then eventually, if you're thinking like big picture, EB1A or EB2. So for example, if you are an actor, right? And you maybe come to me like before, like you follow my do. You come to me and you start your O-1 journey by booking your first consultation, maybe like 8 months or 1 year before your OPT expires. I might say, hey, why don't you do a workshop? As a performer, you might have knowledge of combat, you might have knowledge of accents. Why don't you organize a workshop? That helps me prove lead role. That helps me prove that you are making sales. Not that that's a requirement, but these are all kind of just like additional things that you can do in your career, right? Why not, for example, if you are a comedian, why not do a stand up or solo show at the Producers Club, right? You won't know or have time to strategize if you don't actually meet with me at the appropriate time, me or any other attorney, right? This is just information to help you on your O-1 journey. The most important thing is to really work with somebody who you trust and whose culture resonates with you, because this is a very labor intensive process. And at least with our firm, you're getting constant communication, constant updates. You're having meetings with me. So you want to really just make sure that you're working with somebody that you trust and somebody that you can um, articulate your ideas and feel comfortable talking to. I always tell clients, before you do anything, ask me, right? This is why you've hired the law firm. This is why you hired us for our expertise. Like, don't go off and like jump off a cliff without saying, hey, Elektra, is this going to help my petition? It may or may not, right? You might not have the knowledge of trends that's one of the videos that I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to do a video on consular processing, which is kind of something that I feel is not taken as seriously as it should. I'm sorry if I froze on Instagram, guys. Because especially if you're doing a case where you are located outside of the US, it's a two-step process. So it's not like automatic, kind of like you would expect when you're in the US. It's a two-step process. And they're two separate legal matters within our firm, which means that you would have two separate contracts for those two separate legal services. And you want to make sure that you are not screwing up the second part of your O-1 journey, which is the consular processing, right? We have a client, unfortunately decided to undergo consular processing without representation, and a client got denied. So client literally spent 3 months working on her case with us, got a straight approval, right? Got a straight approval. And I think she got it in like 5 days, and then went off back to her home country, didn't inform the law firm or anything, and then underwent consular processing and got a denial at the consulate. There are many reasons for a denial. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes we can overcome them, sometimes we can't. But you just want to make sure that the process is being taken seriously, and the process is being adhered to, following the law and the guidelines, and of course, the legal advice of any attorney that you choose to work with. So those are my do's and don'ts. I was talking in the office today about the fact that I've been doing this for so long, so I've seen almost every fact pattern. We've argued almost all different types of creative profiles, and it's really interesting when, for example, my strategy needs to change based on, for example, something that's novel, something that's different. So Ati is like, can you talk about the O-1 consultation meeting process? So yeah, absolutely. So all you need to do is you can self-book on our law firm website, so yaolawgroup.com. And each consultation, at the end of the consultation, you receive an O-1 consultation booklet, we call it. So at the end of the phone call, you're going to get like a summary of the law. You're going to get a summary of obviously our pricing, and then basically what happens once you become a client. But the structure of my consultations is as follows. So I have a PPT, so I have a PowerPoint. So everything that I am saying, you will be seeing on the screen. And the reason for this is because everyone's a different learner. Everybody internalizes information in a different way. I know I'm the type of person where I really like to sound things out. I call it. I really like to talk about it, but I need that written document to kind of like center me in my thoughts. So we have a PPT, and the structure is I give you a framework. That's the first thing I do. So my framework is basically your timeline. So I identify when you expire, and I tell you, okay, this is when you need to come back if you're going to do regular processing, and this is when you need to come back if you're going to do premium processing. So right off the bat, whether it's with me or any other attorney, you know exactly when you need to begin your O-1 process. And then the second part of the consultation is a discussion of the 6 regulatory criteria. So I go through the 6 criteria with a focus on the 4 criteria that I typically argue. And then we move on to the application of that criteria to your professional profile. So whatever your profile is, I will try to show you how you fit into which specific box. And then the last part is a discussion of like your next steps. So what are your next steps? Do you need more time? Do I think that maybe now would not be the best use of your money to invest in legal representation? Do I think that we're a good fit and we can start working? Do you feel comfortable? We talk about like what happens once you become a client and how we are meeting and measuring your expectations by the way we work. So we do SMS reminders for all tasks, email automated reminders for each task, so that you know exactly what's going on. And by the way, for O-1s, we have 150 tasks that need to be completed before a case is successful. So very labor intensive, and you need to have attention to detail, which is why there are so many tasks associated with the O-1 petition. Other petitions are different. This type of case is much more abstract and conceptual because we're kind of um defining things in our own terms. And I do this a lot, especially with clients who are kind of multi-dimensional or multifaceted. So I'm thinking of somebody who's like a model and an actor, right? I have to, most of the times we double barrel our case, which means that I'm filing the case with 2 professional titles. And my absolute favorite case that I love to talk about with 2 professional titles is my performer slash photographer. So I filed this person who was refused by other attorneys as a performer and as a photographer. So 2 completely unrelated fields, and we made it happen for her. My goal is to make sure that my clients are not violating their status, and my goal is to make sure that my clients are anticipating the future work that they want to do, because we don't know the future, right? I don't know what you're going to want to further explore. So we really try to craft the petition in a way that allows you to do the work that you want to do legally. Without being so strict with the professional titles. And the great thing about O-1s is that we can define our professional title. We set the professional title, and you will know what your professional title is by the end of my first meeting with you. So I love this case. I love working with artists, and I love working in the arts. And like I said earlier, for those who don't know me, I'm originally from New York City. So I performed in all of the major theater venues in New York, in Manhattan, musical theater and experimental theater. I did commercials for MTV, for Noggin, Nickelodeon, Mercedes. I was an actor for a long time. And then I got a film degree, and my films were screened at various festivals, including South by Southwest. So I know probably more about art compared to like the average attorney, or the average even like immigration attorney. So I think that knowledge is what allows me to conceptualize and see things that maybe other attorneys don't see. So I guess that's like my little superpower as an O-1 attorney. But I hope that this was helpful. I hope my do's and don'ts really allow you to think critically about the process. It's an investment of your time, of your resources. It's emotional, and you just want to make sure that you're doing it in a way that allows for you to have a successful petition. Remember, a ethical attorney cannot guarantee an approval. I cannot guarantee an approval, not even to my celebrity clients. I have celebrity clients, very famous, and I cannot guarantee an approval as it is a ethical violation. But what I try to do is I try to anticipate any issues that may come from USCIS's interpretation, and I focus very, very strongly on the process and the form and the strategy, of course. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I will be back tomorrow. If there are any specific things that you want me to discuss, send me an email, send me a DM. I try to answer my DMs as much as I can, but a lot of the times I'm actually working. We're in the office. We're actually working on our petitions. So this is not a law firm where like you would work only with the team. Like your meetings are directly with me. That is what allows this very personalized a la carte approach to the O-1s that we architect and that we craft on behalf of our clients. So I'll see you tomorrow. I'll try to do it during the day so it's easier for people who are maybe like not at home. Maybe they're like at work and they can watch during the day, like on their lunch break. But I'll be back tomorrow, and tomorrow's Friday, and I'm sure all of you are going to a bunch of Halloween parties. And I might maybe I'll do a video on like my O-1 horror stories. So things that were wild that I've seen USCIS do, unfortunately. I think a lot of the times we give the government too much credit, and like, it's easy to shoot the messenger. It's easy to kind of like blame the attorney. But I've seen like some crazy things USCIS do. And again, I'm always quick to give the attorneys the benefit of the doubt, because the government and people who are adjudicating or making the decisions on the petitions are in no way, shape, or form attorneys, are in no way, shape, or form artists. So there's a lot of room for interpretation and a lot of room for discretion, unfortunately, in our case. So maybe tomorrow we'll talk about like some O-1 horror stories that I've seen. Or maybe I'll talk about like bad form, like bad presentations of petitions or portfolios. But thanks everybody for watching on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitch, on YouTube. I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully I will do it during business hours, and I can show you guys the new awards that the law firm has won this year. I'm very proud of the team and very proud of all the work that we've done. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.